in Recoleta Cemetery here in Buenos Aires. Rob, why is it that people come here and visit Eva Perón's grave, and why is she so special here?
Well, Eva Perón, otherwise known as Evita, was the first lady to Juan Perón, the president of Argentina, from 1946 to 1952. He was elected 3 times actually, but he only served 1 full term. And so their politics, it was known as Peronismo, and it was kind of characterized by a strong nationalism, a strong centralized government, economic policy. It was kind of like corporatism. She met Perón at a fundraiser for earthquake victims. There was a big earthquake in San Juan in I want to say 1944. It killed like 6,000 people. Juan Perón set up a fundraiser. She was involved with acting, a little bit of modeling, radio, and during that earthquake fundraiser, they were calling in famous people to come in and help fundraise, and that's where she came into play.
So how did she die?
Well, she died of cancer. She was 33 years old, and they gave her a state funeral, you know, like they give elected officials and all, yeah. But even though she was never elected, they gave her the same kind of treatment. So let's go take a look at it. Familia Duarte. So her maiden name was Duarte. Eva Perón was both loved and hated. The Peróns, both of them. The poor were known as, and they may still be known as descamisados, and so they really loved her. Descamisados is translated to the shirtless ones. You know, the working class poor kind of saw her as a hero, and others saw both of them as, you know, demagogues or dictators. So everybody knows about Evita, and there's a bunch of other famous, you know, elected officials and political people. But what's, you know, something interesting or somebody interesting that we don't know about or never hear about?
Well, there was this one instance where there was a 19-year-old girl. Her name was Rufina Campaceres, and she unfortunately was buried alive. At the time, she was in a schizophrenic state where it rendered her kind of lifeless. Well, they ended up burying her, and later the security guards heard screams and scratching, and she ended up dying of a heart attack trying to escape from her tomb. And this is her where she was ultimately buried here.
Okay, so Rufina Cambaceres, that was a pretty freaky story, you know, 19-year-old buried alive. What other horror stories you know of?
Well, actually, there was a man named David Ayano. He was an Italian immigrant, and he also worked as a security guard here, and fell in love with the place, and saved up his own money and built his own tomb, where he ultimately took his life and inside the tomb killed himself. Wow. And then legend has it now that you can walk around here at night and hear keys jangling as he supposedly walks around. So let's take a look at his spot.
Wow, that's pretty freaky. Clang, clang, clang.
Well, his tomb's just right around the corner here.
Oh wow, they even got a little marble statue of him.
Okay, well, the story behind that is he actually had another friend who was an immigrant stone worker, and he had him actually sculpt himself, and as you can see, he's there with his keys, and that's supposedly what you'll hear jangling walking around these narrow streets.
That's pretty freaky. So David
Ayeno, but here in Argentina they would say David Ayeno.
David Ayeno. That's freaky, man. That's some freaky stuff. You hear that clanging? Clang, clang.